Hello everyone, welcome back to another video where today we're going to be going over some of the latest news and I guess leaks from across the Doctor Who world, with the most pressing one being a supposed set of spin-offs regarding Doctor Who villains according to the Mirror. But before we get into it, if you could do me a teeny tiny little favour and click that subscribe button, I'd be very much appreciative of that. We are trying to get to 20,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and we're only 11 subscribers away from 17,700, so any support would be greatly appreciated. I also have a Twitter and an Instagram if you'd like to follow those, the link will be in the description below. But with that said, let's get into the news. Millie Gibson recently showed off a new hairstyle. According to Doctor Who Production News, they are speculating that she is going to be taking part in a publicity shoot in London ahead of Doctor Who studio filming in Wales next week. I don't know whether filming next week has been confirmed. I've seen some people speculate about it. Obviously we know December has been confirmed by places like Doctor Who Magazine, so I wouldn't exactly be surprised if studio filming began next week. But yeah, that's pretty interesting. If that is going to be her haircut as the new companion, that's quite interesting. Here's a closer look if you wanted to look at the pictures, I guess. I'm already seeing some people just say that she's like Rose 2.0 and all this, and it's like, guys, you do realise more than one blonde character is allowed to exist in a TV show. Like, with respect, we have no idea what her character's gonna be like yet. Just because she's blonde and young doesn't make her the same character. I don't know, I just feel sometimes like people are reaching for criticisms when there just isn't really anything to find. Like, at this point, all they've done is reveal an actress, you know what I mean? Like, there's no basis for any of that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Millie anyway. I'm sure she'll be great. Hopefully if studio filming does begin next week, then public filming will soon follow that, and you can see all the updates right here on this channel if you're interested in that. And then we've got the big news story that sort of broke over the evening. Doctor Who villains, Cybermen and Daleks to get spin-off series in huge Disney deal. Doctor Who villains like the Weeping Angels and the dreaded Daleks are as iconic as the Time Traveller himself, and his police box. And we will soon be seeing more of them according to an insider. This is by Nicola Metvan. So as we know, the Mirror have a pretty decent track record when it comes to Doctor Who. I've said it before, they got numerous things regarding the Chibnall era right, particularly things with Series 12, with Bradley Walsh and Tosin Cole leaving at the end of Revolution, the Mary Shelley Cyberman episode, Jodie and Chris also leaving at the end of 2022 as well. They got that bang on. So yeah, they've got a pretty good track record, so I'm inclined to believe this more than I am certain other, rumours that have surfaced from different places. Like The Sun, for example. The Mirror, for Doctor Who, in my opinion, is pretty reliable. Doctor Who adversaries, such as the Cybermen and Daleks, are to get their own series, an insider says. Showrunner Russell T Davies is pushing ahead with exciting plans to expand the Whoniverse with Marvel-style spin-offs. It comes after the BBC struck a deal with Disney Plus worth tens of millions last month. The BBC sold the US giant the global streaming rights to Doctor Who outside the UK, so that's not creative control, that's just the distribution rights. The deal means budgets on the 2024 series starring the 50th Doctor Ncuti Gatwa could triple. A source said, fans can expect to see Sontarans, Weeping Angels and Sea Devils in separate series showing what they get up to when the Doctor isn't there to stop them, along with the Daleks and Cybermen. Speaking last year, Davis suggested that these exciting projects were part of what lured him back to BBC, and he suggested that there was even scope for a Doctor Who dedicated channel. There are things coming up that are brand new ways of telling stories that have never been done before, he explains. So it just feels now, I wouldn't have gone back if it wasn't feeling new. The showrunner already has form for expanding the Doctor Who universe. In his first tenure as the reboot boss from 2005, he was behind Torchwood starring John Barrowman as Captain Jack Harkness, and the Sarah Jane Adventures featuring Elizabeth Sladen in the title role. We should be sitting here announcing the Nyssa Adventures or the return of Donna Noble, Davis said last year. The irony. The whole science fiction world is so creative and so money-making right now. I think your wildest dreams can come true. His ambitions sit well with Disney's strategy of maximising content within franchises by creating a whole expanded universe of overlapping characters and time frames. Former showrunner Stephen Moffat expressed his concerns after he left in 2017 that without bigger budgets, Doctor Who would be left behind by shows like Game of Thrones. A show that generates as much money as Doctor Who should be getting more of it back, frankly, he declared. Disney Plus has capitalised on Star Wars and Marvel spin-offs, including Andor, The Mandalorian and Loki. The BBC said it was too early to comment on any plans. So that to me implies that this is somewhat accurate. They're saying, oh, it's too early, we can't say anything yet. That implies to me, yeah, they're planning something. I will admit that the idea of villain spin-offs was one that intrigued me as soon as I saw this sort of headline, because it wasn't something that I would really expect them to do. In fact, recently I did a video talking about spin-offs I'd like to see, and I did in fact pitch one spin-off, which was a Master spin-off. And whilst that could still happen, they seem to be more talking about the more alien aspects of Doctor Who rather than, obviously, I know the Master's an alien, but he's like humanoid alien. So I'd be interested to see whether the Doctor Who monsters could carry shows on their own. The Daleks, I could definitely 100% see carrying a show on their own. In fact, Terry Nation even pitched one way back in the 60s. And I definitely think there's potential in it. If you've seen any fan projects where they're the main characters, I think there are stories to be told with them. Or even if you look at the main series, like things like the Cult Skaro, there's different ways you can take the Daleks that would be interesting. The Cybermen, again, I could see they're probably the most malleable Doctor Who villain, in that I feel as though the Daleks are pretty much just space fascists. That's what they are. Whereas the Cybermen, I feel like, they can kind of be applied to different contexts and work in a lot of those different contexts. And personally, I would just love to see some decent Cyberman representation, as it kind of feels like they've been getting shafted ever since, like, 2006, maybe with, like, the brief exception of World Different Time Doctor Falls. So, I'd love to see some decent Cyberman representation, but things like the Weeping Angels and Sea Devils, I just don't know how they could really lead a show on their own. I'd be interested to see how it was managed. I think what would make more sense to me, and obviously, whilst the Mirror is pretty reliable, some of the details they have are often out of date or slightly inaccurate. So what I think would be better, in my opinion, would be a monster-themed anthology series where, like, each episode follows a new monster, rather than a series per monster, because I just don't know, like, with the Sea Devils, for example, if they could carry a show on their own. I mean, no disrespect to the Sea Devils, but, like, what are they gonna do for, like, 10 episodes a year? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know whether I see that. But nonetheless, it's interesting, and I'd be interested to see how it develops if it is indeed true, which I kind of think it is if it's the Mirror. So this was seen on Facebook earlier. Apparently this is a prototype sort of mock-up for the coatless version of the 14th Doctor figure you can sort of see here. Obviously the blue arms from the jacket are only in the prototype, they won't actually be in the final product, but obviously you can see here the jacketed version that we will be getting in January of 2023. So yeah, it already looks like they're making plans to make another variant, which doesn't surprise me in the slightest. I always knew that as soon as David Tennant was going to be the 14th Doctor character and other toy manufacturers were going to jump at the chance of making more 10th Doctor figures, well, 14th Doctor in this case, but David Tennant figures, I suppose, and David Tennant themed products, because he is the most popular Doctor, so I knew as soon as this was done that there was going to be an influx of merch surrounding the 10th Doctor or David Tennant. But yeah, it's just really exciting to see the wheels in motion, I guess. Especially because a number of emails have apparently been sent to representatives of Character Options saying that over half of the regeneration sets have already sold out, and this was 2 days ago. So, I saw a lot of people sort of speculating as to why we got, a regeneration 14th Doctor set before something like the Sacha Dhawan Master or the Fugitive Doctor. And whilst I would love figures of those guys, because they're like my favourite aspects of the previous era, I feel like the answers are pretty obvious, A regeneration set featuring, obviously, the new 14th Doctor as played by David Tennant was always going to sell out, especially in that beautiful 60th anniversary theme packaging, and I think the 13th Doctor figure is really nice as well, and obviously I don't doubt that some people would want the new 13th Doctor more than the 14th Doctor. However, I do definitely think that the inclusion of the David Tennant 14th Doctor in that set has played no small part in basically just getting that set to almost completely sell out. And I think it just leaves a very positive sign for merchandise to come, I think. Hopefully we'll get plenty more on shelves as this era begins. But that concludes your news roundup. If you did enjoy it, be sure to give it a like, comment down below your thoughts on anything we discussed today, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you later.